It's college and grad school application season. Here's how to get into your dream school. First, the hard truth. Your grades and test scores are by far the most important factor determining whether or not you get admitted, regardless of if you're applying for law school, med school, or just straight up undergrad. If you don't meet the school's minimum standards, then you aren't getting in. There is one way around this, but before we get to that, here are some tips for the other parts of your application. This stuff won't make up for bad grades, but it may make the difference between you and another applicant with a similar profile. First, make sure that you take the time to answer all of those additional questions that you see on the application. I know this may seem tedious and like some of them are a waste of time, but these are questions that the admission team wants to know the answer to. And if you can't take the time to answer a couple of questions, they may start to question whether or not you're committed to attending their university in the first place. The only exception to this is if it's for a safety school. In that case, your GPA and your test scores are good enough to get you in on their own, so you don't need to waste your time answering the questions there. But generally, fill them out. It won't hurt. Next, don't overthink your extracurriculars. A lot of people spend way too much time trying to fill this up as much as they can. And schools don't really care that much. They just want to see that you're a person and not just an academic robot. So do a couple of things to show that you're involved in the community and that you actually have some passions and some hobbies outside of just school. You don't need to spend every waking minute doing community service or being part of some club. Just enough to show that you're a person. Now onto recommendations. Be extremely careful who you choose to write your recommendation letters. I suggest taking the time to sit down and think who will actually leave an impact on the person reading these letters. If you're applying for law school or med school, try and choose somebody higher up in your university or your institution and have them write it. If you're applying for undergrad, choose a teacher who's going to write a glowing recommendation of you. I also highly encourage you to read your recommendation letters before they're sent in. Most schools will tell you not to read your recommendation letters or even say that that's not allowed, but think about it. If you're choosing somebody to write a recommendation for you and that person doesn't like you enough and trust you enough to send you the letter before they send it to the school, then you're probably choosing the wrong person to write your letter. Next is the essay. This is probably the most important part of your application besides your test scores and your GPA. So sit down, take the time, and make sure that you do this right. Everybody's going to be writing a sob story about some tragedy that they had to overcome and how overcoming it has made them a better person. Sit down, take the time to think about what makes you unique and what the schools want. Every school wants students from a diverse background with their own unique set of experiences, and your essay is the perfect place to show what sets you apart from everybody else. But you need to make sure that you're specific. Every athlete has either been injured or benched at some point, and every theater kid has that one experience where they didn't get the part that they wanted. These topics are way too broad. You need to show how a particular challenge pushed you to that school and program. Personalize your essay for the school and show them what makes you the best candidate. After you've written your essay, you should have 2 people proofread it. The first person should be somebody like an English teacher or somebody that's good at writing. They're going to proofread for spelling, grammar, and just general writing mistakes. The second person is going to be somebody who knows you really well. This person's going to proofread for content and to make sure that the essay sounds like you. I highly recommend using a friend for this instead of a family member. Family members tend to be really skewed in favor of you and their feedback might not be what you need. Or instead of writing your own essays, just use ChatGPT and save yourself a few days. Now that that's all out of the way, the one way to get over having bad grades or bad test scores is using your early decision. An early decision is exactly what it sounds like. You're deciding which school you're going to go to early on. And not just deciding, you are promising to go to that school. When you submit an early decision application, that means that if the school lets you in, you promise to withdraw all applications at all other schools and only go to that school. And this is very beneficial for you because colleges drop their standards. Not just a little bit. They drop their standards a lot for early decision applicants. But you need to be extremely careful when you're using these. You should only use an early decision application when you're applying for a dream school or a reach school. If you haven't done the research and you don't know where you might want to go to school, don't send one of these in. Or if you're torn between a couple of schools, don't send one. You're getting rid of your ability to go and take a deeper look at those schools if you apply using early decision. You're boxing yourself into just one school. It can be beneficial if that's the school that you know you want to go to, but in most other situations, don't do it. It's not worth what you're giving up. Now that you know how to get into your dream school, here's what you should know before you get there.